one of the inspirations that came to me, how I could help people more, and I got more into this, and you just popped into my mind constantly throughout the entire process, thinking I must reach out to Jacob, must reach out to him. So what this is about, even though I don't want to specifically aim it at people with eating disorders like anorexia, it is meant to be an information service for them, right? So it's just somewhere where families who are trying to understand it can just come to this area, either on YouTube or on the website, and just learn about what's going on, because the fatal mistake with somebody with an eating disorder, if it's bulimic, is to simply say, well, eat less. If it's anorexic, they say eat more. And then as soon as you say something like eat, unfortunately, it's painful for them, right?
It is very painful.
It's very painful. So I'm trying to do a balance. I had a good interview with Max, because I wanted to talk about starvation and the brain. And then I wanted to, I see, Jacob the healer, your website and how you've done things. And obviously we know each other from the course. So that's for people just watching this for the very first time. Jacob and myself have known each other for quite some time. Lucky to meet up on the same course. And Jacob has some really good insights on healing. Helped me a lot, actually, because I have eczema, but Jacob told me it wasn't my thyroid, it was something to do with my liver. And then the more I do some research on it with the information that Jacob has given me, it really was my liver. So, and it's the body trying to deal with all the toxins. So that's why I'm grateful that you've come on to have a chat with me, Jacob. You're awesome, buddy, honestly.
Martin, it makes me the most benefits I get when I see that things click in and then people find the answers, because I know what it was for me to be like in that loop and not knowing and experimenting and just going left and right and bouncing from information to information. And so I'm very happy to see that. And Martin, I think the healing takes time. So I mean, the liver will take time to recover, and all the procedures and all the stuff, it really takes time. For me, it was a year and a half to recover the digestive issues, and I still have to keep certain things in certain way, because I have already, like, for me it was 15 years of damage. So imagine, so that doesn't come away easily. But I was surprised. It was year and a half of 3 months really focused and strict, then keeping certain foods out, which I never came back to. And basically I feel, and this is my inner feeling, is that with the information that I have, with the right stuff that I put in place, I can live a normal life with certain limitations that I just decided. I can still go back to those foods that I know are harming me, but knowing what they do, I stay out. And well, if I'm invited somewhere or something happens, I'm happy to enjoy the full life. It's not about being limited or being a certain, like, there is no, the balance is the key aspect here.
Yeah.
So let me ask you one question, Martin. So where is this? How did this came to you, and why eating disorders? What is behind it? What is your driver?
It's a good question, right? So my my wife, I'm trying not to delve into the personal details too much, but my wife had anorexia. We're divorced now. I mean, the whole situation just utterly destroyed the relationship in the end, actually. But
The health situation, her health situation.
her health situation, yeah, and just how it took control of her. So I spent quite a lot of time between 2008 and 2016 taking her back and forth to psychiatric wards. It's quite appalling, actually, that even professionals, they don't know how to deal with people with anorexia.
What did they say? What was their recommendations?
They're constantly asking them, "What have you eaten today?" They're constantly asking them, "What is your weight?" And those are the two main triggers for a person with anorexia, right?
I
Because
had that. I had that. When I was living in Dominican Republic, I lost 10 kilos of my weight. I had
right,
a girlfriend at the time, and she would push me to eat until, and she would constantly remind me how skinny I am at the moment.
right,
The worst things that can happen to people having that kind of moment, it's just putting you down mentally, and you're worse and worse. But the real thing is that everybody has some sort of eating disorder. Nobody have it figured out completely, and these people think that they're the only ones there, and it's heavy. I have felt that on my own, and I'm not anorexic, but I'm skinny, and I know how it feels when somebody's ringing these bells in your ears every day. It's
mhm.
destroying.
It,
It's damaging.
it is, but also your outlook on healing is quite wide, and your knowledge is quite vast, right? So it's like you pointed out to me, instead of my thyroid gland. So the difference you made to me was that using doctors' advice, they were recommending thyroid suppressing drugs, right? Like with people who have an operation, a new heart or something like that, they believe it's your thyroid gland overreacting. But it's not your thyroid gland overreacting. It's your liver trying to get rid of toxins as much as possible. And what people don't realize is that your skin is actually your third kidney for processing. So your body, if your kidney's under pressure and you can't process all that stuff, then it pushes it out. So the health effects of somebody with an eating disorder, especially anorexia, is that what happens is their blood becomes thick because they tend to consume less liquid. Also, their cognitive behavior of being able to cope is less. They get stressed very, very quickly. They get tired very, very quickly. I found that it was just it's you can't engage in normal life. You just can't, like where you sit around the dinner table, all having
Right.
a family discussion and so on. That's some anorexics, so they can cope with that, but the extreme anorexic just simply can't. It's just really difficult for them. So it's interesting to have your opinion on that as well, considering what you've been through.
Well, I cannot compare myself to being anorexic, but I have done
Right.
studies on it, and there is a part of that could be emotional, mental part, going through a trauma. But that's a minority. It's not the main cause, but sometimes this thing can affect as well.
Right.
So that would be one part of the problem. The second part of the problem would be heavy metals in the brain, which needs to be taken care of, cleaned out. And then I think the one of the most like the support, the environment, understanding environment, providing not putting more pressure on the person, just being and accepting the way they are at the moment, and trying to make them see why.
Yeah.
So digging into the past and trying to see, okay, did that person go through some really traumatic experiences?
Mhm.
Do they dwell in the past? Do they sit in that moment? Is that something that's anchoring them in that past? What I would use for that, sometimes these traumatic experiences, they get unconscious, so that's why I recommend the self-hypnosis, to try to analyze and tap into the unconscious mind, and go to trace where the root cause is, because first we need to always find the root cause of it. So on the physical level, it would be cleaning up the heavy metals from the brain, heavy metal smoothie by medical medium, focusing on cleaning up the body little by little, because the organs also shrink, they get smaller. So all that stuff, but the process, I think, is important. The environment the person is very important.
Yeah.
And then going self-hypnosis, finding the root cause, and then rewriting the memories.
Hmm.
Because if it's a traumatic experience, it's just a memory. It's a memory that's made a scar on our body, and affected the way we either trust people, the way we see the world. So what we can do with that is first finding the point in that in the life, and then rewriting memories. That's just and trying to put it with the emotions,
Right.
connecting good emotions and rewriting the moment, changing the memory. That could help to discard the past or move. It's gonna, the more the person is coming, for example, once you create a good memory with emotions,
Mhm.
you tend to, and how do you know that you have created a good memory, is when you try to go back to the past, you will remember this memory instead of the bad one. That doesn't mean that you will completely say this never happened. You acknowledge it, but when you create new memories, you're trying to go back to those new memories, and every time you try to go back, you
Yeah.
play that story, and the more you play it, the faster you can move forward and discard the past. And so that would be a key, rewriting the memories with the emotions,
Yes.
being in the environment that hopefully supports, making them understand that everybody is dealing with some sort of issues. There are alcoholics, there are people who overeat, there are people who have this digestive issues. So nobody, when it comes to eating,
Mhm.
is like on the ideal, or at least let those people know that they're not the only one, so they don't carry extra weight.
Mhm.
Not speaking about their weight, not speaking about that, just I knew that when I was in that moment when my ex was constantly trying to tell me I have to eat 3 times a day, 3 meals a day. It was heavy. It was heavy because I knew that they would do,
Mhm.
and letting them feel that they're living normal life, and just the supportive steps one by one, and focusing mainly on the healing instead of the problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of fruits, always, they will recover the organs little by little. So that's another step that can be done. And I think giving the healing time, not forcing anything, and listening to the person, because the person, for example, I have been having digestive issues, and my ex was forcing me to eat, but what she didn't understand, and what I understood, is that my digestive tract needs healing. So I cannot load tons of food on me now to gain the weight, because my digestive tract was not absorbing anything. So I first had to heal the digestive tract first, and
Mhm.
then I was able to. So for the anorexia, they will first have to recover their organs to a normal size, little by little. Try to do at least hydrate well, so the blood doesn't get thick and doesn't cause more and more problems. So I would say these would be the main steps to deal with it. And I'm sure that every person is different. Every person will have a different amount of, if it's the part of emotional or the physical. But I would work on both, because that's probably the best way
Yeah.
to get there. And also for the emotional part, starting new memories, living life and creating, being in the moment, in the now, trying to create happy memories now, so the person can attach to something in this moment, so they don't go that much to the past. That brings me also, every time when I see people spinning in their heads, mindfulness is a great tool. I recommend that. It could be meditation, it could be yoga, depending on how they feel. Moving the
Yes.
body, exercise also moves people away from the emotional stress and releases. I understand that that might be difficult in the case of someone who doesn't have that much strength, but maybe they can go for a walk, get a fresh, they can get sun, they can get fresh air in them.
Yeah.
So all these things I feel like could those are like little steps that could move the person forward instead of going back.
And it's a you know what you're saying is almost similar to what Max said in his video. So it's encouraging to hear the same thing being said in a different way, and that's regarding your gut and healing the gut, as he said. Your gut and all the intestines is like your third brain. It's a second brain, sorry, not your third brain. It's your second brain. So it's what you depend upon to get your nutrients into your body, etc. Right? And also when you mentioned the environment, the conditioning of the environment, that's also important, because sometimes it could be the environment that the person is stuck in. They're so conditioned into being that way and that way of thinking. And then also taking in the liquids, taking in the liquids and being hydrated. And I found that all the ways that an anorexic will choose to hide the condition, it, it's I'm trying to find the right word for it. Intelligent is not the word, but they certainly know how to hide the condition. They certainly know how to hide the condition very, very well. And you just don't realize it. Like I said before, it's you know, they wear the big baggy jumpers, they have no energy, they'll lie down a lot, and obviously because they haven't had the proper nutrients in their body to be able to function in a normal capacity, then they're also very tired, you know, because their concentration is not that good. Yeah,
I'm
it's
thinking,
sorry.
I'm also thinking the right mindset is always the start where when it comes to healing. That popped into my head is making sure that the person is not using it as a, if they're hiding things, obviously that's not the case, but if they're using their situation as I'm this, I'm that, they label themselves,
Yeah.
they can use it as a staying in the victim mode, and that's a powerless state. So always making sure that I have a person now that they will complain about the environment. They say, I'm in this environment, I cannot do it. I do best on myself. But at the same time, they don't put any effort to change the environment. So it's like sort of an excuse. It's a victim mode. And then they attract their energy and attention to themselves. So making sure that that's not there. But I don't think if somebody's hiding their situation, I don't think that's the case. Just if there was it, because it could be it as well.
Yeah, the state of that, of the person suffering, and it's not just for women, right? It's there's also men who are affected by it. Young men these days are affected by it also, um, and it's I've found that the treatments varied between electric shock treatment because they become suicidal,
Okay.
which is extremely drastic. I remember when my wife came out of electric shock treatment, I just didn't recognize her. It's as if they did something else, and they don't prescribe just one electric shock treatment. They prescribe something like 30.
How does it supposed to help? Like, what is the logic behind it?
Well, it's meant to reprogram the mind. It's meant to reprogram the mind, but who knows? Because you know, you're not. It's not a. It shouldn't be prescribed as a clinical procedure for anybody with anorexia and going through suicidal. It's just devastating. She was just an utterly different personality each time she came out of it, and it didn't cure the condition; it made it worse.
This is heavy. This is like if you think about cancer and chemotherapy and all that stuff that they prescribe for that. So what they're basically focusing on the right place, which is the brain, which is where the heavy metal sits. But yeah, it just shows us that the medical system and
Barbaric.
they still have a long way to go to understand.
It's
So
actually barbaric. It was quite upsetting because I just remember at the time also trying to you know, take care of the younger people, you know, in my life as well at the time, and it was trying to shield people away from things they can't see, and you know, obviously they were upset for their mother, which is quite understandable, you know, and you could tell that she was upset for them because she just wanted real help, and she didn't get real help at all. It and she's they didn't tackle the problem, as you say, it's tackling the problem is the issue, but they didn't tackle the problem. They for sure didn't tackle the problem because she's still poorly today, right?
do you know if she had any emotional trauma?
Oh yeah, for sure there was emotional trauma. There was a childhood emotional trauma, and the part that affected her the most, I think, was that she had trouble getting people to believe her that the trauma happened. That was the most difficult part. So and then when you get people who don't believe your you know, what you're saying, that really doesn't help.
That's the environment what we
It
spoke
was
about.
the environment, yeah. She absolutely needed people to be supportive of her, but they weren't, and it's a, you know, it's a difficult thing, and unfortunately, when you get into that severe state of not eating or not taking in any nutrition at all that will help your body, then Max was saying something interesting also, that your body goes into survival mode. So because of what you're doing to take in less nutrients, your body adapts and your brain says, oh, right, okay, so this is how you're going to be. So now I'm going to help you to control the situation. Is the anorexic controlling the situation, or is the situation controlling the anorexic? And it seems to be that the answer to that is because the mind adapts and because your body wants to survive under extreme conditions, in the end, it's actually not the anorexic. And this is why I think the change of environment is also a good thing to have. So I think you're right about that.
I would agree with that, definitely.
Yeah. So, just take them out of it, take them out of it, change their environment, change their, maybe even being as drastic as changing the group of friends or...
Look, we just spoke the other day on a group that we have about how powerful just changing a name and a place can be for a one person if they want to, especially if they're evolving, if they're growing, just personal growth. It could be like we are so conditioned with the environment, with the people around us, that we, even if we have all the will to do it, other environment is like the you're one person, then you have nine person around you who's going to be putting you down, and that's extreme force if you want to change yourself. So definitely being able to step out of that environment. It could be, I just made a video about it in the course. I just added the new part of it. It's not changing the name is leaving. You can leave past of your the past and piece of yourself in the past. I have done it multiple times because I was able to travel, so it served me every time I came to a new place. I would create a new Facebook. There was the time when I was using social media, and I would start a new phase of myself. And I always ask myself, what is it that I want to leave behind? What is it that I want to create for myself? What is the new person what's going to have? And I always left something. I shed some part of that, and then I added some good stuff to my new persona. And because of the changing the environment, I could change the name, and with that name I could reinvent myself. But you could do it in this living in the same city. You could even move from a place to another part of the place, change completely habits, change your friends, and start over. Or if it's not if the town is too small, then moving to a next place and start over, because it's powerful what this can do, because the environment can really hold you back. And what I also believe, if the person can get explained what's happening physically, they will feel that they can get out of that. So giving them the hope, I think, can be so powerful. Because if you're living with something and you think you have tried, you have searched, you have went through it, and then none of that worked, it gives you more weight on your shoulders, and you feel like you're failing with something. So knowing, okay, so your problem is this and that, what you can do is step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and following that. And this is all happening because of this. So they gain certain understanding of their situation, and then they get the physical steps. Plus, if they can change the environment, I think that's a perfect combination for really bring things together. Working on the past life or childhood traumas,
Right.
having the tools, practicing that as much as possible. So that's because sometimes it's multiple memories. It might be with the subconscious, it might be more than one thing. So going and tapping into those moments and cleaning up one by one, and then another parts, because sometimes when we have one problem, it repeats, and then we get it reflected with different people, with different situations, but it's the same repeating pattern. So cleaning all those moments where it repeated, tremendous help, I think, for on the emotional part. The heavy metal smoothie, a lot of fruits to give the brain the glycogen that it needs. And then that's what can start also switching the thought patterns. What you said, that the brain adapts, giving nourishment to the brain. That's how the body can start opening up and getting a new signals, new recreate itself. I think it's definitely a journey, but I think it's doable. Knowing what needs to be done and step-by-step approach. I think, yeah, if you would have to focus on the past, trauma, the environment, the physical body, all those at the same time, and cycling.
I I know nothing happens by coincidence, right? It's everything is shows along the way, and
That's a big key. That's a big
I,
knowledge as well. That's powerful.
exactly, and thoughts that just wanted to come out into paper and for this project. And I happened to look at one YouTube clip, and it was about how the person must start with their when they're starting on something, they need to start slowly. Even going back just a few months ago, I listened to Unleash the Power Within with Tony Robbins, and he was saying that the change that a person can make is something like 2 millimeters. Like if you sit still and you lift your chest just that couple of millimeters, that does something to your psychology, which increases your confidence in some way. And also standing like Superman, take a Superman pose. And I know it sounds ridiculous and it sounds ridiculously simple, maybe, but the point is, standing in like a Superman pose for 2 minutes with your arms on your sides, head up, chest up, chemically, it releases dopamines in the body. So you start to feel good. And just doing that for 2 minutes is all you need. The other point that you said earlier, like the balancing, the getting the body to move and so on. I didn't realize that something so simple like doing some balancing to get your body to do natural movements and makes your mind work in such a way that it brings all these components together that your body's actually grateful to be moving. I didn't know this, right? I know I've just said it in a very basic way. I'm not an athlete or a physiotherapist or something like that, but I know. So there I was at 2 o'clock in the morning with my Superman pose,
I love it.
trying to, stop all these things coming into my head, and I just think small tips and tricks like this to help most people helps them to change just the way they are, and then what I also found is that in the presence of dopamine or oxytocin, it doesn't leave a lot of space for cortisol to exist. So I've noticed that when cortisol exists, then a hit of dopamine or oxytocin will help that person make a shift. So you're right; it's doing things in the right frame of mind as well, and you become more receptive to it.
And also, what I see is that everybody is very unique. Everybody has their own way of how they feel things are good. So for you, Superman might be one thing. For them, it might look different. So giving them the freedom to create their own way, and I think that's why I also like it in the course that way. Everybody will pick their own little things just to give them the understanding of what the tool's supposed to do for them and find their own expression and their own way. Because if you force the Superman pose or someone who haven't even seen the movie, they will be like, "What the heck is this?"
Yeah,
But
you must be
so
crazy.
so. But I love what you said, because those are these. I know that for example, the yoga for me, the movement is the way where the brain finally needs to focus on balance, focus on breathing, and it brings you from all the past, all the future, and just brings you in here because you have tasks to do now. So when I do meditation, the meditation doesn't work the same way for me because I'm still and I don't do anything. I don't focus on anything with my body except of the breathing. But the mind is very powerful, so it can easily run away. So meditation does a different things for me, but still useful. But yoga, as you said, the balancing, you have to focus because you have no choice. If you don't focus, you fall on left or right.
Yeah,
So the balancing and the because it's sometimes difficult. Sometimes you have to hold the pose. You feel the pain in your muscles. So all that keeps you in the present moment, and I think that's why there is so much power. Plus,
yeah,
it's sort of a practice that has been done for a long time. But for maybe swimming, maybe cycling, maybe running, maybe going up the hill. So different things, and giving the people to create their own healing. Just give them. I like to empower people just to know that they have the power, giving them the basics. Say, look, this is where you are. These are the tools that can get you here, and this is what needs to be done. So they can see the environment, they can see the past traumas, they can see the healing aspect of the body, giving them the understanding the tools. Sometimes it's the best when you can let them learn it themselves, so they have the aha moment, so they will get to it, be like, oh, okay, now I understand. And that makes it like a memory that it's being stored. Whereas if a doctor prescribes medication, it's like you don't know, you don't connect with what's really happening.
Mm.
So that's where the power also lies, and giving them the space to create their own way of doing it.
Yeah.
It's powerful because then they feel it's theirs. They can feel, okay, it's me doing it. They feel empowered, and they know the journey. They know where I need to go. So all this probably could be and as what you said, small changes, small habits, but doing them and increasing them. So removing one thing, adding one good thing, and sticking with it, and say, okay, today, what is the first thing that you know you can do as a next step to get yourself closer to the goal? The goal is not to be anorexic anymore. The goal is to have clean out the brain, the mercury from the brain.
Yes.
How do we do this, and how can we? And also knowing the time frame, because knowing that this is going to be months
Hmm.
and maybe years, but having it as a journey,
Hmm.
this helps to let the people know, okay, we're on a journey here. It's not that we're going to make a week, we're going to make a one week of this extreme stuff that's going to mess up things, and then it's going to mess up again, going back to what it was.
Yeah.
So steady, slow step forward every day, one thing that will make the little improvement, and trying to stick with it. If this habit doesn't work, and finding another one that's gonna replace it, that's gonna work. And
Absolutely.
what you said, these little things as Superman poses could do in the long run amazing thing. I was
Yes.
having on my mirror, I'm enough, because
Yeah.
that was my work. And waking every morning, looking at it, not even knowing that this is what it is, but how many times I look during the day and I remind myself, powerful. So the repetition is a big part of success as well.
Yeah, that's right. Changing habits and reinforcing good ones, because that's the problem with the cycle with a person who's in the anorexic state, is that they're so habitual. So their focus is so strong because their focus is on um, trying to be a different person and not being happy with who they are. So there's a big mental battle going on, but also yeah, focused is the word. And
I think
and I'm being,
acceptance, also
yeah.
acceptance of the moment, because first they need to agree that where they are, that's where they are. Because if they will try to hide it, or trying to not to acknowledge the problem,
Mhm.
that's also a state where it's very difficult. It's like if you don't acknowledge that you have a problem, you will never be able to work on it. So first,
You're right.
coming to terms with, say, okay, I have a problem,
Yeah.
I have digestive issues. How am I going to go about it? What am I going to do?
Yeah.
So I think that might be the first place to start as well. To say, okay, yes, we have a problem. How do we go about it?
Mm. Yeah. A person who is in the deep anorexic state, and they think that they've accomplished something good, and then they end up in hospital with being force fed through a drip through their nose and so on. Some of them see that as a success, right? Because they've got themselves to that state. The relationship between what hunger actually means and how the brain understands it turns from being hunger, which is bad, to hunger, which is good, or being able to ignore the hunger completely, cutting out the pain receptors, etc. So the part of the series is also trying to help deal with the psychological aspects of it, and also how to bring in people who understand mesmerism. Mesmerism, it's a difficult word to say actually. Hypnotherapy, um, regression therapy, as you said, and tapping the root cause. What is this? And I think all that's important. Um, and also, I'm hoping to bring in people who can uh, talk about nutrition, proper nutrition. So the person who is starving themselves, I think so I'm not sure, but I feel, after my experience anyway, I feel that when the person who is so badly in need of nutrition takes in any form of nutrition, I think it has an adverse effect on their body. It's a bit like the person going through the desert, right? They go through the desert for so long, they badly need water. Then if they drink too much water, they'll be ill, right?
It's going to be a shock.
It's going to be a shock to the body, right? And so I think it's the same thing for the anorexic, where they need, when they're going through their desert, they also need to be able to understand how to take in these nutrients in the right way to be able to build back up again.
It is. That's the little by little approach. That's the little by little, step by step, no extremes. There is no good results from extremes. It's just the body is a gentle machine. You don't wanna start it on cold and then go the fastest possible. That's not the way. So what you're saying is exactly little by little. But if they go with universe helps with the flow, what you said, everything happens for a reason. So if we allow the universe to provide things to us in a way, sometimes a new healthy diner might open, something very interesting, where it might be next to your house, or stuff like that happens when we have this journeys, and then we don't have to do all of it by ourselves. We can just believe that once we make the decision, from the decision, the things can start roll on, and then little by little things will pop in place, the timing. As a helping people also, I don't have it all sorted out. I don't have all the information in the world. I really, but what I know is that I'm not alone in this. I know that the universe is here, always someone to ask to, and always get the answers. And I also observe a lot, so I'm very receptive with things, and then I pick from what's going on and put together the picture to understand, okay, this and that happened. I see, okay, now I see how it aligns with everything that's happening in this person's life, how this helps me also to see things and learn from it. So it's also letting the universe do its magic, and not to think that we are the center of somebody's healing, or we know it all, because it's not that way.
It's true, yeah, and you're right. Each individual has their own experiences. You run the healing website, and you have these amazing bunch of people who also contribute to your the healing process and the knowledge. Are there any words of wisdom that you have for the families who are helping people with anorexia?
Well, you already said it, Martin. Understand, being of creating the environment, so they can understand, not to make that person feel bad in any extra way. I get it that most people won't be able. They're trying to help. What they're doing, they're trying to help. My ex was trying to help me with everything that she was doing, but she didn't understand the situation. So I think what the families can do, they can educate themselves what it's about, how these people feel, so they can get into their skin and then work around it. Or if they are not empathic, they don't know how the person might feel exactly, then at least educating about the whole situation, but from the right sources, understanding what we just spoke about, that how important the environment is, so they know they're part of the solution. So, but in a solution that it's not the way they think they need to deliver the help, that the help needs to be delivered in a different way, not forcing the food what they think, because that's coming from not understanding the problem correctly. So educating themselves and providing the environment, I think that's the most helpful thing. And accepting the person for who they are, where they are at the moment, not reminding them, not making them feel less or weird or in any problem, because letting them know that there's so many people who have problems. When we look at a specific person, each of us will have something to deal with. If it's we came in here to resolve our problems. When it's if it's physical body, mental, emotional, we all have our journey. So just respecting the person as yes, that's their journey. They chose this journey in this, and they're learning something out of it. They're learning how to deal with people, how to carry the stuff, how to rely on themselves, how to live with that situation. I mean, it's a journey that each of us have selected to be part of that, or to be observer, or to be part of as a family member.
Mm.
So I guess that would be the best possible way for that person, and also for the person who's trying to help. So what you're doing as a part of the solution, bringing all this information and trying to find the steps, I think that's so powerful. But that person needs to see it for themselves. You can bring it, you can present it, but not forcing it. The more we force things, the more sometimes people go back.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult situation to be someone who's providing the information. I have it with my brother. I'm the one who can see things, but
Mm.
it's difficult to communicate it in a way so it doesn't feel like I'm mentoring them, or it doesn't feel like I'm trying to change their habits, change their life. It's not. Sometimes they just need to come back to us. It's like if if you present the information and they try everything that they try to resolve on their end, and they don't find the results, that's where they might come back to you and say, okay, what did you tell me about this? What
Yes.
was your solution?
Sure.
It's very delicate way of communication, and very difficult situation sometimes, because sometimes you just have to be patient. Sometimes we just have to sit and watch things happen in front of our eyes which we don't want to see to happen.
No,
uh,
exactly.
it's
Yeah.
but observer, and at the right time the right information is like knowing where to time your answers, where to time your actions.
Yeah.
It's a mastery, it's a sort of mastery, I have to say.
Yeah. And it will be tough for families because they're they care, and they want to help, and they're going to get it wrong for the first few times of trying to deal with it, because it is
So
confusing.
your part will be, what is the concept that you're having in your mind? Like how would it look like in the end? What will you, is it how do you have your setup for this
So,
project?
so this the setup, it's going to evolve, but it's just purely providing information, purely
Okay.
providing information so that the you know the person who is in the I don't there's words for anorexia. I don't want to call it a condition. I don't want to call it an illness. It is a psychological illness for sure, right? But I don't want to call it that because I don't want to really label people.
Well, that's where, if you bring it to the percentage, let's say minority is the emotional, you bring it to the physical, it's gonna probably sound better to some people,
Yeah,
because they will be like, okay, nobody's saying that I don't have a mental issues. I know it's coming from some sort of, that's part of it. But if you bring, let's say, but a bigger part is this, and you start nourishing the body, that you show them that the thing is with removing a certain heavy metals from the brain and nourishing the body in the right way,
hmm
they might actually see it more curable, or more resolvable, because most of people with these issues might have already went to a psychiatrist, went to deal with these issues mentally, and
yeah,
they might not have seen the results. They might not been able to progress that much. So if you give them a different ground to work on, which they could see as a logic, because nobody knows, it's difficult to measure the heavy metals, but if that's that you bring it in front of them, smoothie, which is and it's tasty. So with little, depending on the amounts that they can put in, but that could start the action of, okay, I want to get rid of the heavy metals which are here because I don't want to be in with this condition,
hmm
and what it takes is I have to bring something in.
hmm
That might be the first step to say, okay, it's physically I can clean this up, and the mental things, they will come. Always on the journey, it's once you start taking care of one thing, the next things start cleaning up as well. So if you start working on the mental, you might get the clues on what's the physical thing. If you start on the physical, you might get later the clues, or people around your situation that will let you understand the mental part or the emotional part as well.
So I think it is the psychology of it that needs to start with. But I'm not endorsing psychiatrists, by the way. The reason is because that's part of their way of wanting to treat people is by giving them some sort of medication, and then that medication is it's more of a dumbing down of the condition. It doesn't cure the condition,
Right.
or the what it doesn't have to be anorexia. It's anything, and any mental state, and so the person with who is going through the anorexia period of time, they, it's better if they have a clearer mind to be able to,
Definitely.
to work through it, and that's why I'm doing this as well, because as I say, I've got nearly up to 10 years of experience of going between these places, and I found that most of the psychiatrists were just didn't do.
Well, this is amazing experience, Martin, that you have on your hands. Amazing amount of information that you went through. Unfortunately, I mean, for me, it was the same thing. I didn't want to go through the things that I went, but it gave me so much knowledge in certain areas and I'm always building up. And this conversation helps me as well, because I see a different part of it. I see the real thing, and for me, that's the most important experience, to hear it from you. You have been there, you have seen this. I mean, that's more than any doctor will be like, okay, I think it's this, let's do this maybe. So having the real life experience is the most valuable thing.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
so if you wanna start with the mental part, I would say going to the root cause hypnotherapy, regression therapy, and letting the person do it by themselves. I think they can do it if they find the peaceful environment. They can do it in there. They can prepare for it, a room. You can put some nice environment, so you feel and you focus on one thing only, and say, okay, what is my main trauma that I will be working on today? What is where it all started? And as I said, most of that, or 85% of the stuff, can be unconscious. So going there, because they might remember the story, but they might not remember what exactly was the starting point of it. They might remember more of the later consequences. So if you want to start with the mental part, I think those were things that I have seen success with when it comes to the things from the past. So
And are there any sorry, I didn't realize we've been talking for an hour, and well, nearly an hour, and it's I didn't realize this is a good discussion. Talking about movement, I just needed to move off this chair. So if it makes any noises, I didn't make wind or anything.
I would like the Superman pose.
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. That's just for me in private, because it's my cape, right? There's so the one form of hypnotherapy that I found in Sweden that was effective was there was this little place up in Mora. Mora is one of these mid towns in middle Sweden, and that was the place where they had these. I can't remember the name of the psychologist or the main guy there, but he was brilliant, and he used the Milton Erickson form of therapy.
Mm-hmm. Never heard about that, but I'll be happy to explore. I'm always. How is it composed? How does it go step by step?
So Milton Erickson was meant to be the father of modern hypnotherapy, but also so what this Milton Erickson therapy did was to be able to get the person into this state, so subconsciously they could talk freely without being worried about it. A kind of, well, it is a hypnotic state, and then they're able to discuss the way that they really are feeling, and what's causing the problems, and then so it actually it's quite a traumatic period of time for me as well, because then I found out truly what happened to her, which was the root cause of what her anorexia was. But unfortunately, with the treatments that happened around that time, it really didn't make it easier for her. So I think the treatment in itself was a traumatic experience, as well as, you know, what you went through. So it's yeah.
So they would use the hypnotherapy to go to understand the root cause of it.
Yes.
But the healing, what was the healing solution? It was a
So there was no healing. It was simply to try to get them to understand. So the hypnotherapy, so the root cause analysis was very good. But this is where the problem is with anorexia, is the sense that there's no direct. I think there's a huge gap in understanding of how to get the person to understand that it's okay to take nutrition. You know, you can recover. You can leave that identity behind. Like you said, you know, you can change your beliefs and leave that behind. So an example of that is there's one place in the Karolinska Institute in Stockholm, and then the anorexic must measure their own food. And but the environment for the people, it's like being in a prison cell, right? Because it's in the basement. There's very little natural light coming in, and you know, you're an inpatient. And I don't think half the nurses there understand how to deal with a person with anorexia. It was purely focused on intake, on nutrition intake.
this in what you're describing
Such a
couldn't
disconnect.
couldn't work properly. I don't see that as it just keeps the person in a state of, okay, you're sick and you're in a special facility, you're here, and you have to measure your food. I mean, I don't know how they do the measuring, but that's also another reminder. It's like with the
Exactly.
mask. It's
Exactly.
with the mask, it's like, oh, you have to be fearful that there are some people who can infect you. And I said, if that's a reminder of we are problem to each other. And those are mental little things that those will keep them reminding them that they have a problem. And I don't think that's the right approach to solve it. Even though if they give them the nutrition, they will still keep the mindset of, I'm sick, I'm different than other people, and I'm sick.
Exactly.
Plus, I don't understand the light not being there. Basement situation doesn't
No,
sound good.
I couldn't wait to get out of the bloody place, if I'm honest. And I don't care if I saw it then. It was just awful. The group of women who, you know, they become friends with each other. It's an incubator environment, and it's an incubator environment to the point where, you know, it wasn't all negative. There were some good points to it, like they had heavy blankets to help them sleep. They had heating blankets because, you know, the anorexic gets very cold. The blood can't circulate around their body. But the real negative side of it was that it became a social club for people with anorexia.
You know what I see also? I see this with AA. Great programs, great steps to help the people, but you're always coming back to remind yourself that you had a problem.
Yeah,
At some point, you have to drop this. At some point, you have to take the good tools and leave out, because then you're hanging out with buddies that had the same problem as a reminder,
exactly.
which might work for a certain time. But if you want to get to normal, you have to get to normal.
You have to get
And that takes certain steps after some time. So these little mental reminders are very big in the long run. So I would choose the best of what they have been offering there, what you have seen with a very conscious mind and logic mind, with what you have seen, what you can understand logically will be a helpful tool, a helpful procedure, and use that with the things that we talk about. I feel that's going to be more effective. The right environment. It's great to have the people with the same problem, but I see this in the anxiety groups. I mean, there's people they just they're keeping themselves. I feel the same way today. I feel that, and it's like a cycle. I just jump in as a shark and I just throw in some stuff, and
Yes.
I see how it lights up the environment. And it's so important. But if you will be hanging around there with those same people, it's like if you want to feel growth, if you want to expand yourself, you want to be around people who are further than you are. So if you're
Yeah,
going down
exactly.
in the same sink, I
Exactly.
don't I don't see that. I don't see that as a
Exactly.
long-term success.
Yeah, it just doesn't work. I'm sorry. I had a couple of experiences in my head then, and I was going to say it, but I'm not going to, out of respect to her.
Sounds pretty traumatic to me.
Yeah, it was actually, it was for me as well. So, and I don't mind sharing this part, but we'd only just bought our house in Sweden at the time, and 6 months after buying the house, and then it was quite bad for her, and then she ends up going into hospital. And I didn't know what was wrong. I was quite stupid about it all. Didn't have any idea. And then throughout all that period of time from that Christmas in 2008 uh, till just after getting divorced, we spent all our time going back and forth to psych wards, mostly time at home trying to care for her, um, putting my job at risk, which I did lose it eventually, because I couldn't maintain the work. And I was still keeping the house, keeping some stability for the kids, but it was a lot of work on my own. And her family were just useless. I don't care if they're watching this; they know they were useless. They know they were
Martin,
useless. I'll call
let
them
me
out anyway. I don't care. I hope this
look,
embarrasses the crap
Martin.
out of them.
Just knowing you, I want to say this. I know that you're trying to help out left and right. I have seen you how you work in the group and with how you have been helpful. Don't carry all of others people's issues on your shoulders. It's
Good.
like you have to find where is your line and where you keep your space for yourself.
Thank
Because
you.
I know you can easily, I feel you can easily overstep that line,
Mhm.
and you cannot carry the weight of the world. I have been trying to do the same thing, and I feel your knees gonna go down. You're not gonna be able to do it. So keeping a healthy space for yourself, and also how you can manage things.
Yes.
So if you're taking on this project, I think keeping the distance from the people, not to overtake over your space, and goodwill, because you have a goodwill, you have a great soul. You want to do project like this, and I really have a bigger respect for you in the way you are helping others, the way you're providing, the way you're wired, because you could be, people can load a lot of stuff on your shoulders, and I think it's important to know that how you're going to manage this is also so you put yourself first. And I think that might be also a part of your progress in your healing journey
My
in
healing.
this.
Yeah.
I think
Exactly.
that's part of it. So you're gonna be dealing with that part in these next chapters. But I think it's gonna be amazing, because it's gonna bring you a lot of satisfaction for
Yeah.
everything that you have lived, and you will put all the information, all the struggles that you went through,
Mm.
to some sort of good. You will put it in a good place.
I
I
hope
feel.
so. I mean, just to be able to help the person who is deep in the middle of their own hell, and also to be able to provide the information for the families. I think that's just going to be um,
And
it's going to
when
be
it comes to the healing, as I said, for the it's great that they were able to confirming that they were able to recover the root cause, to get to the point.
mm,
And depending on the situation, depending on how they live the moment,
mm,
changing their mindset also about that they have first, that they are not a victim, that they have chosen this life, can do a great amount of work. You have chosen this journey to get something out of it, to learn something out of it, to experience something. It's chosen. It's not victim mode. I think that could be a crucial part of to everything.
mm,
And rewriting the memories, I see the healing process in the right environment, plus the physical body. I see this, and the statistics speak that it's about 15% of mental part. Obviously, you have to look at each person, and then 85% is the physical part. So just keep that in mind, so you don't look or stand too much, because you have lived the mental part of it, but you probably haven't seen the physical, the aspect of the physical healing. What could that do to a person? How could that shift the mind? And I think if you get a chance to apply that and see the effects of it, you might see the ratio and all that stuff, the mental and the physical body. So I haven't lived it myself. I have lived a little piece, which was not anorexia, but I was able to feel that moment what you described in the beginning, and I think that's powerful.
Right.
So
And is there anything that you could recommend though for any meditation techniques or, oh, well, actually meditation for a person with anorexia? I think that's going to be a tough call. But for as far as hypnotherapy is concerned or regression therapy, are there methods that you would recommend or
yeah,
that
so
someone should seek out?
yeah, in the course that you have access to, there are links to. I followed the Brian Weiss, which was one. I don't know if there was a self hypnosis or if there was a past life regression,
Mm.
and then the other one is Michael Sealey. Those are two guys that resonated with me. But I would say let the person choose. They can go online.
Mm.
These two guys I trust because it worked for me. But I think you have to connect with the person. You
Yeah.
have to connect with the voice.
Yes.
So if that could be annoying for someone, I would say, okay, look up on YouTube, find yourself, give them the freedom so they feel they're doing the work.
Mm.
Find yourself self-hypnosis therapist that you enjoy. It could be in life, it could be your life, it could be YouTube. It doesn't have to be. I like to give the people the freedom to have it with them all the time. It gives them sort of a peace. So it's not like you have to go and spend extra money. You can do this on your own, and sometimes on your own, in your own environment, you can prepare. You can mentally get to the state where you're open.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're doing it with a hypnotherapist, with some person that you don't know, you might have a hesitation to open up and stuff. So it might get even more difficult with a person.
Mm.
But they obviously have ways, but not everybody resonates with everybody. So there could be success or there could be limitations to the real life situation.
Yeah.
So Brian Weiss, Michael Ealy, when it comes to getting to the root cause, if it's, and I would even explore the past life, the regression therapy, in case there is something in the past lives carrying on with generation. I would look if there was something in the family when it comes to heavy metals, let's say Alzheimer's, any mental disorders, because they could give us also hints. Okay, this person in their family, they have been having this and this and this and this issue. And if you look deeper enough, you'll be like, okay, these were also heavy metals issues, migraines, any other stuff that's schizophrenia, bipolar. All this is mental heavy metals in the brain. So they could also give nice hints. And when it comes to rewriting memories, in the course as well, you have a link to a great couple who do it with the emotions. There are a couple different ways how this could be done, but I like to work with the emotion, because trauma is an experience
Mm.
it connected with emotion. So if you want to undo it, you do it the same way. You have to add the emotion. So if you do it just visualizing, or if you just recreating the memory without the emotion, it's not going to have the power. So that's why I'm using these guys to come in and finding, basically you're trying to find in a moment, you visualize or recreate the moment in a way that you would like that to happen.
Right.
And then you add emotions to it, and you go back and forward between the emotions, and that's what's basically slowly removing the situation. And another technique is you now in adult age, you go back to the situation and you try to understand it and explain it to yourself as a kid. So what I did, for example, my father wrote me a letter that I'm not his son anymore. I think I was
Oh, wow.
8 years old or 12 years old.
Right.
And to resolve it, what helped me is me coming back to the moment now with seeing the situation with the knowledge that I have now. And what it showed me is that it opened up a space for me to see that his father was treating him the same way.
Right.
He didn't accept him. He was there was no acceptance, and there were certain things that reflect on that. So I was able to understand the situation and explain to myself. So I don't see it from that traumatic point of view that I was able to see it only as a kid, because I thought that something's wrong with me. I have done something wrong, but it was seeing also the other person, that he was having the same traumas and issues that were not resolved, alcohol to it, mental issues, not receiving love in the family. So all that stuff and then you can see how that person could be acting in this way because they just don't know better. So then you can retract from there. You will see the situation. You with this, you're already making the situation less and less if affecting your life, because you will be seeing it from more neutral perspective than from the only perspective that you have been having when it happened. So these two things can really do, and playing them as much over and over, to use those more often with the repeating situations that reflect the same behavior.
Yes.
They could do a great job. I'm going to send you again the links, so you can see that, and you can offer that solution. But I would let the person also to choose online if they want to deal with any other self-hypnosis person that they resonate with, or finding a person in real life. That could be also a great situation. But if you already know the root cause, then it's more about rewriting the memories, playing with the explaining to the little child the situation. So basically, we're trying to clean up that moment in past, and just to get rid of it or make it smaller and less effective. So that's the healing that I see, plus the physical part of it, plus the environment, supportive environment. All these work together hand in hand towards the success.
Yeah, exactly. That's fantastic. And what a journey you've had as well for what you've just shared.
The journey that I needed to have, I was able to get to speak with my father, because my father died when I was 17. I was able to came back to have a conversation with him, and the message was, I had to be this way so you get it, you learn what you need to learn. And that's exactly, when you look at it back in time, uh, you're able to appreciate the bad moments because you see what you get out of that. So
Learning.
yes, and for some people, just understanding and letting go, for that person, it might be letting go might be the biggest thing in this life, to understand how to let go of things. If something bad happened, I mean, if you would give me the details, we could obviously go more into it and try to uh, I don't know if it's too sensitive, or if you want to share, but we could dig deeper and see what exactly that situation could have brought to that person, what exactly that person might need to work on, like what was the life journey of that soul, what this soul have chosen to work on this in this life. I
Exactly.
mean, I can see what it's for you. For you, it's what you're doing. This project and all this experience for you is what you needed, so you are able now to provide this and help others, because that's what the world needs. But what for that person, what is it that that person exactly was there to learn, was there to experience?
I mean, I can set up private sessions for her with you, which I'm quite happy to do. Um, I'm not going to make them public because I think that's her journey and she can make that decision herself. Um, but it's
I
good to
agree.
know that at least that for anybody out there listening who wants to tap in and um, gain and benefit from Jacob's wisdom, then all you need to do is put a comment into the chat and connect with me, and I'll connect you with Jacob. Sorry, sorry.
Joseph as
My
well.
my. I was reading my own.
No, this is Martin. This subconscious speaks the right things, because your experience is already there.
Mm,
So what you have within you, that's the power that people need to tap into. So we're just giving it a shape and form, and I'm learning, and we're putting it together, so it makes a
but what?
beginning and the end.
Yeah, a little bit embarrassed there actually. But what I want to do is to connect people with the right people. Right. It's so it's not about me. It's just giving the right people the information, as you say, with who resonates with who, because there could be people listening and they're thinking, oh well, not Martin. I'd rather speak to Jacob, which is a fair point. There's a few exciting topics coming up with Carmen. She's going to talk about balance and nutrition, and for Max as well, with this experience with working with professional athletes. So I think all of this is going to start helping people. So it's not following a prescribed medical formula, because I think prescribed medical formulas don't exactly work. I've been there, I've seen it. And if that's the case, then after 8 years or all that time, then she should be cured, right?
That's what I was thinking. You go to the doctor, they fix you, you're good. You're back home, everything is fine.
Everything is fine. Yeah, you're functioning as a person and contributing to society, and society is appreciative of the contribution that's being made. And I just don't feel that it's a far cry from what's happened there. Because also, you know, along the way, I want to start connecting people with the right people. So when a person needs some help, I'd like them to be able to book through the website, or make the inquiry first of all through the website, and at least get some booking system going. It's new. It's early days, as you can tell. It's early days, but to start.
I love it. I love it, and I love your passion. And for me, it's amazing to see how you're putting everything that happened into a purpose, taking it into having a purpose, and putting it in a way that it serves others. And I love that, because to me, when things click like this, it just makes me happy. It makes me happy to see what you're doing, how you get there, what you're carrying inside. Amazing. And it's whatever I can help with, Martin, I'm happy to help with. Okay.
I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Jacob. And I know we've talked for quite a longer time than what most people can absorb. But you know, it's going to help. It's going to help somebody. Thanks again, Jacob. So I'll finish editing it, and then I'll send you the link. All right.
Amazing, amazing. It was a pleasure to see you, Martin, and I'm so pleased that you're doing what you're doing. Really, I love it. I love your journey. It's amazing.
Thank you, buddy. I really appreciate that.
Awesome.
Been valuable. Take care, and I'm going to wish you a fantastic Christmas and New Year, and however you celebrate it.
Thank you, Martin. Enjoy your family, friends, and the time and your passion.
You're so awesome.
Thank you.
Cheers, buddy. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.